So today, we're going to do something really cool. We're going to unpack the intricate psychological map hidden inside an ancient Pali text, the Paṭisambhidāmagga. We're talking about a stunningly detailed blueprint for what many of us just call mindfulness of breathing. But let me tell you, this is so much more than a simple relaxation technique. It's really a guide to a kind of radical mental clarity.
Right from the get-go, the text sets the stage with this incredible verse. It translates to, "For whom mindfulness of breathing is perfected and well-developed, he illuminates this world like the moon freed from a cloud." And this one image, you guys, this idea of our own mind as a brilliant moon just temporarily hidden by some passing clouds, that is the key to everything that's about to follow.
And get this, the potential here is just staggering. According to this ancient text, a fully perfected practice can give rise to more than 200 distinct types of knowledge and insight. I mean, that's a pretty extraordinary claim, right? It suggests there's this profound power just locked away inside our own focused attention.
Okay, so to really get a handle on what it means to be a bright, shining moon, we first have to get really familiar with the clouds. And the text doesn't shy away from this at all. It meticulously maps out every single potential obstacle that could possibly obscure our mental sky. All right, let's get into it.
So the first big, obvious storm clouds are what's called the Nivarana, the 5 hindrances. The text literally describes them as coverings, almost like a thick layer of grime on a window. Think of them as these coarse, heavy states that just prevent any real clarity from shining through.
And what's so brilliant here is that the text doesn't just list the problems. For every single one, it gives you the solution, the antidote. First up, you have kamachando, or sensual desire, that constant pull, that wanting something more. Its opposite is nekkamam. Now, you'll often see this translated as renunciation, but think of it more like the freedom you feel when you just let go.
Then you've got this classic matchup, Byapadō, which is ill will or aversion, versus Abhyapadō, a mind of goodwill. You know, the text is laying out a pretty straightforward choice here. Are you going to cultivate the friction of negativity or the smoothness of amity?
Oh, and I love this next pairing. It's just beautiful. The hindrance is thinamidam, that heavy, sinking feeling, you know? That mental fog and sleepiness. And the antidote? Alokasenya, the perception of light. It's basically saying that the way you cut through that mental darkness isn't to fight it, but to actively bring in a sense of inner brightness and energy. Pretty cool, huh?
All right, so let's say you've navigated the big storm clouds. The mind feels pretty calm, but is the sky totally clear? Well, the text basically says, not so fast. What do you do when the obstacles aren't big and obvious anymore, but are so subtle they're almost invisible? And this is where the analysis just gets razor sharp. The text identifies 18 different kinds of upakalesa. These are subtle imperfections or defilements of your concentration. These are like those high-altitude, wispy clouds that can throw you off even when you think you've got it all figured out. I mean, just look at how specific this gets. We're not talking about your phone buzzing or someone shouting your name. We're talking about a tiny flicker of internal chatter during an in-breath or a slight craving for the next out-breath, where the mind just subtly wavering. So what's the big takeaway here? It's that this path demands a really, really refined level of awareness. Okay, so after giving us this incredibly precise diagnosis of everything that can go wrong, the text lays out an equally precise prescription. This is the method itself, Ānāpānassati. It's a systematic training to help you navigate both the big, heavy clouds and that subtle haze. The whole thing is laid out in 16 steps, but they're grouped really cleverly into 4 sets of 4. So you start with something really tangible, right? The physical feeling of the breath. Then you move on to observing feelings, like joy. After that, you start observing the mind itself. And finally, you get to contemplating the very nature of things, like impermanence. It's just a total masterclass in how to build a skill step by step. And to really nail down how to do this, the text gives us this absolutely brilliant analogy of a woodcutter. See, the woodcutter isn't focused on the saw blade going back and forth. No, their attention is fixed right on the single point where the teeth meet the wood. So for us, the meditator, the instruction is to just anchor your attention right at that point of contact, say the tip of the nose, and just let the breath do its thing, without chasing it.
Okay, so we've looked at the clouds, we've talked about the method for clearing the sky. What's the result? What does it actually feel like when the mind is finally totally clear and unobstructed?
Well, the text describes it with this profound sense of stillness, kayopi aninjito hoti, Chittam pihoti aninjitam. The body is not agitated and the mind is not agitated. It's pointing to this deep, unshakable stability, a place where all that usual static and turbulence in your body and mind just quiets down.
And this, of course, brings us right back to where we started as the text connects all the dots for us. The clouds, it spells it out for us, are the defilements we just went through. The bright moon, that's noble wisdom. And the person watching this all unfold, well, that's the meditator. That's you undertaking this journey.
And so we land full circle right back on that powerful final line. Once you clear away the clouds with this practice, the moon of wisdom just shines. And that light, it's not just some private internal thing. It radiates outward. It illuminates this world. It actually has this positive, clarifying effect on everything and everyone around you.
You know, this blueprint is thousands of years old, but it feels so incredibly relevant right now. And it leaves us all with a pretty powerful question to reflect on. What are the clouds that obscure your own mental clarity? And what would your world and the world around you look like if they were finally cleared away?